Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, man killed moments after arriving in Jamaica. A Jamaican man was shot dead in a hail of bullets in a brazen mid-afternoon attack on a busy highway in Kingston on Tuesday, minutes after returning to the island from overseas, the police have confirmed. His identity has not yet been disclosed. The killing occurred along the Sir Florizel Glassball Highway while he was on his way from the Norman Manley International Airport, where he disembarked a flight from Panama, according to Superintendent Tommy Lee Chambers, head of the Kingston East Police Division. He was on his way from the airport and his car was shot up, Chambers told the news. The shooting caused a huge traffic pileup on the usually busy corridor. Investigators are trying to determine a motive for the killing. Veteran journalist Barbara Gale murdered a day before son's birthday. For more than 5 decades, Barbara Gale reported matters, some of them the most gruesome murders from the island's courts. On Monday afternoon, in a cruel twist of irony, the veteran journalist became a victim of murder, plunging the nation into shock at what has been described as a senseless and brutal act. Gale's murder was made even more painful for her family as her cousin, Michael Dubon, told the news that her son, who lives overseas, was marking his birthday on Tuesday, the day her body was found with stab wounds inside her house in the gated community of Caymanas Country Club Estate, Phase 1 in St. Catherine. "I still think I am dreaming. I wasn't thinking something like this would happen in a gated community. This is the last place I would expect anything like this to happen to her," Dubon said. "She is well loved by everyone around here. She has some great neighbors. Sunday was the last time I spoke to her, and she prayed for me and everything. I told her if she needed anything, just to call me and I would take care of it," he added. She is not even around to celebrate her son's birthday today. "For him to get a sad news like this on his birthday is wicked," said Dubon. "I feel it was somebody she knows who did this to her. It doesn't make sense to me. It not add up. I am still trying to put the pieces together," he said, adding that he tried calling Gale about 9:40 a.m. on Tuesday. "For somebody to come and to take her life, it doesn't sit well with me. I am just hoping that the cameras will show something," he said. Dubon's reference was to camera footage obtained from the late journalist's house that showed her sitting on her veranda and speaking with someone Monday afternoon. In the clip, Gale is heard offering to place a phone call to a woman apparently known to her and the person with whom she was speaking. The footage has provided the police with material to pursue what they say is an intensive investigation. What we are getting so far is that she was last seen sometime after 3 p.m. on Monday having a conversation with an unknown gentleman. Sometime after 10 a.m. on Tuesday, residents who are used to her routine of coming out in the morning and checking on them and to call to them, they never saw that usual activity, and so they went to check on her at home, where her lifeless body was discovered. "We are following strong leads at this time. We have the full support of all the investigative arms of the force," Senior Superintendent of Police Christopher Phillips, who has a responsibility for Area 5, told the journalist at the murder scene. Phillips said that Gale was stabbed multiple times in the neck and was believed to have been hit in her head by her killer. Her motor vehicle and a cell phone were taken, apparently by the killer, who it is believed was known to Gale. Although neighbors told the news that they do not have a clue as to the identity of the man in the video footage, they are convinced that Gale knew him. They believe her penchant for always extending acts of kindness to people made her vulnerable. Her kindness was her weakness. The killer took advantage of Barbara's kindness, one resident told the news. At the time of her murder, Gale was on a freelance contract with a Gleaner, having retired in May 2012. She actually began her journalism career at the newspaper on September 2, 1968, and on retirement was offered the contract for 16 months as a justice coordinator. Before joining the Gleaner, Gail worked as a secretary at a Papine Junior Secondary School from 1966 to 1968 after attaining secondary education at Homo Technical High School between 1961 and 1965. Throughout her years at the newspaper, she honed her skills as a court reporter, earning respect and admiration of judges, lawyers, court staff, law enforcers, and readers. Last month, during National Journalism Week, the 77-year-old Gail was one of 5 practitioners of the craft honored by the Press Association of Jamaica for distinguished service to the profession at the annual Veterans Luncheon. The citation accompanying her award stated that, despite her forging lasting friendships in the legal community, she remained steadfast in her principles, embodying the highest standards of journalistic ethics. The PAJ also highlighted the fact that Gail sought to educate and empower the public through her column titled Legal Wranglings that addressed the complex legal issues. The column earned her the PAJ Community Service Award in 1977 and a regional award from the Caribbean Association of Media Workers. That same year, she was named the Journalist of the Year for her courageous reporting on a Supreme Court case in which a rape victim was jailed for speaking too softly, the citation said, adding that the story prompted widespread protest, leading to the victim's release. Her murder was condemned by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck, Information Minister Senator Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport Olivia Grange, the opposition People's National Party, the PAG, the Media Association Jamaica, government senator and a former journalist, Abka Fitz-Henley, and the president of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Jamaica, Pastor Everett Brown. Director of Public Prosecution, Paula Llewellyn, told the news that Gail's murder left her feeling like a rag doll without stuffing. She said that she last spoke to Gail on Sunday in a phone call that lasted about half an hour. Llewellyn described Gail as the original court reporter and said she just could not believe that she became a victim of murder. Like many others who have commented on the tragedy, Llewellyn too believed the killer was well known to Gail. Students among people rushed to hospital following Manchester crash. 2 days after a deadly crash on the Finegrass Main Road in northeast Manchester, police are reporting that another crash there has resulted in several people, including students, being injured this time in a 2-vehicle collision. Preliminary reports are that about 2 p.m. Tuesday, a Toyota Probox taxi transporting passengers, including the students, collided with an Audi SUV, resulting in the taxi veering off-road and landing several feet in a ditch. The occupants of the taxi were rushed to hospital. Their condition is not yet known. This latest crash follows Sunday's collision, which claimed the life of Kimona Forrest, 28, a resident of Virginia in Bombay District, Manchester. Police said Forrest was a passenger in a Nissan Sunny traveling on the Finegrass Main Road in northeast Manchester when about 11:30 p.m. the driver lost control and crashed into a pole and a wall. Forrest, another woman, and the male driver of the car were taken to hospital. Forrest was pronounced dead, while the 2 injured people were admitted for treatment. Judge says Matthew Hyde case had significant degree of brutality and cruelty in handing down over 15-year sentence. Former University of the West Indies student Matthew Hyde, who tortured his ex-girlfriend after holding her captive for 3 days in his dorm room, sat for over an hour, watching unflinchingly as he was sentenced to 15 years and 7 months imprisonment. The 20-year-old, who had been in custody since the heinous February incident last year, which sparked a public outrage, was sentenced to 15 years and 7 months for 1 count of causing grievous bodily harm with intent and 4 years on 3 additional counts of causing grievous bodily harm with intent. He was also sentenced to 5 years and 9 months for malicious communication, 1 year and 9 months for assault occasion in actual bodily harm, and 1 year and 10 months for false imprisonment. Justice Caroline Ty Powell, in handing down the sentence, deducted 1 year and 10 months from each sentence for time spent in custody. The judge, in arriving at the sentence, gave Hyde a 15% discount for his early plea. This means he will serve another 13 years and 9 months behind the bars. Hyde, who pleaded guilty in September, not only used an electric iron to sear the complainant on her buttocks, her breast, her nose, lips, forehead, arms, cheeks, and both sides of her back, but also kicked her, pulled her by the hair, held her by the throat, and had beaten her with a belt. The second-year biochemistry student, who had burned the complainant after ordering her to strip naked and allowing her to take cold showers at intervals, had also taken pictures and a video of the complainant and posted it on his WhatsApp status, and also shared them with at least one person. Justice Ty Powell, in handing down the sentence for causing grievous bodily harm, which was the most severe count, opted not to impose a life sentence. Instead, the judge said a determinate sentence was more appropriate as the case was not the worst of the worst. At the same time, she noted that the case had a significant degree of brutality and cruelty, and that what Hyde did was horrifying. I have not come across another case of branding, as this case may be described, or case of torture, as this case may be described, she said. Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.